There are airports, and then there are these airports. Runways carved into mountains, landings above the sea, and final approaches with zero room for error. These are the airports that test even the most experienced pilots, where every landing feels like a mission. In this video, we're exploring some of the most dangerous airports in the world and breaking down exactly what makes them so challenging, from high-altitude terrain to brutal wind conditions and almost non-existent safety margins. Let's start with Lukla Airport in Nepal, often called the most dangerous airport in the world. This runway is perched high in the Himalayas at 2,845 meters. That's over 9,300 feet, and serves as the main access point for climbers heading to Mount Everest. The runway itself is just 527 meters long, not even close to what most commercial jets require. There's no radar guidance, no instrument landing system, and to make things worse, the runway has a slope of nearly 12%, so landings are uphill and takeoffs are downhill. Pilots only get one shot. If they overshoot the runway, they hit a mountain wall, undershoot, and they fall into a valley. Only specially trained pilots with years of experience in the region are allowed to fly here. And flights are often delayed or cancelled due to sudden changes in wind, clouds, or fog. It's not just about flying skills. It's about reading the mountain weather like a local. Next up, Paro International Airport in Bhutan. This is another airport, tucked between Himalayan peaks, and it's just as intense as Lukla, but on a much larger scale. At Paro, pilots must manually navigate through deep valleys and sharp turns during descent. There's no autopilot here, no ILS. This is all done by hand, by sight, and under immense pressure. And here's the kicker. Only around 50 pilots in the entire world are certified to land at Paro. The runway sits at over 7,000 feet above sea level, and the final approach involves banking between mountains before leveling out for a very short runway. A slight miscalculation can lead to disaster, yet commercial flights operate here daily. It's a true testament to pilot training and discipline. Here is the crazy cockpit footage of the approach to the airport. This is what the pilots have to navigate through for a safe landing.
1,000. $400, $300, $200, $100, 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 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 retard.
Now let's change the scenery to somewhere a bit more tropical. Skiathos Airport, Greece. Nicknamed the European St. Martin, this airport is famous for landings that skim just meters over tourists' heads. Skiathos has an extremely short runway, just over 1,600 meters, and it's surrounded by water on both ends. Pilots must approach low and fast, and on windy days, the crosswinds from the surrounding terrain make things extra unpredictable. The runway itself isn't the most technically difficult, but the margin for error is razor thin. Add in the massive crowds just feet from the landing zone, and it's a recipe for high-stakes flying. For thrill-seeking tourists, it's a spectacle. For pilots, it's a high-alert situation from touchdown to full stop. Now we head to the Atlantic to Madeira Airport in Portugal. This airport is built on a narrow platform extended out into the ocean. And when I say extended, I mean that literally. The runway sits on a series of 180 concrete pillars raised above crashing waves. The wind conditions at Madeira are brutal. Gusts sweep in from the ocean and funnel between nearby mountains, causing violent turbulence and dangerous crosswinds. Pilots must use techniques like crab landings, where the aircraft is angled into the wind, and then quickly straighten the plane just before touchdown. It's not uncommon for landings to be aborted at the last second. In fact, pilots are specifically trained on simulators before they're allowed to land here. Every successful landing at Madeira is part science, part art. Then there's Kiteac, the legendary airport that no longer operates, but still lives on in aviation legend. Located in Hong Kong, Kiteac featured a heart-stopping checkerboard approach. Planes would fly directly at a mountain, then make a sharp visual right turn just seconds before landing. Skyscrapers, hills, and a narrow harbor meant there was no room for error. Videos from Kiteac are still some of the most viewed aviation clips on the internet. It was officially closed in 1998, but its legacy as one of the most dangerous airports ever lives on.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, retard. 5.
Princess Juliana Airport in St. Martin. Famous for its beach approach, planes fly just meters over Maho Beach, thrilling tourists and plane spotters alike. While the landing itself isn't extremely difficult for trained pilots, the risk factor is high. Strong crosswinds, a short runway, and a sloped terrain mean that landings must be precise. Mistakes here can and have resulted in serious accidents, both in the air and on the ground. So what makes these airports so dangerous? It's not always about bad weather or failing equipment. Sometimes the environment itself is the threat. High altitudes mean thinner air and reduced engine performance. Short runways leave no room for mistakes. And unpredictable wind shear, terrain, and urban obstacles mean pilots need to rely on more than just their instruments. They need skill, instinct, and nerves of steel. What's incredible is that every day, planes land at these airports safely, a reminder of just how advanced aviation has become and how highly trained these pilots are. But for the rest of us watching from the ground, it's nothing short of jaw-dropping. Which airport do you think is the most dangerous? Have you flown into any of these? Let me know in the comments below. And if you love extreme aviation stories, landings, pilot technique breakdowns and more, hit that subscribe button.